Welcome to In the Room, where we explore the elusive world of casting for film, TV, and commercials. Join us as we interview directors, writers, producers, and actors, taking a deep dive into their experiences with casting and how the ultimate decisions are made in bringing a story to the screen. Get an inside look at casting and find out what really goes on in the room.
You ever feel like a fraud up there, teaching?
No.
My name is Lousy Carter. I'm a literature professor.
I don't like you lounging out while I'm talking to you.
I have a troubling medical diagnosis.
Sorry about this.
I'm pursuing a grad student.
I'm fine with how you look. You're not my type, first of all.
Thank you.
This is my stalker.
I was a big fan of the film you made. The animated film from the early aughts.
This is my best friend.
You're the laughingstock of the entire faculty, teaching what amounts to barely one book at the graduate level.
I'm sleeping with my best friend's wife.
I feel incredibly guilty. You should too.
I don't feel guilty.
Monster.
All your behavior is odd to me. I keep expecting you to sound sort of worldly and professorial, but instead it's more like someone who's somewhere in between 14 and 16.
15?
My ex is annoyed with me.
I'm too tired to argue with you about it.
Everyone is tired, Jesus.
My sister is frustrated.
I wanted to say that growing up, it felt like there were two children, and it wasn't me and you. It was you and Mom.
Even my therapist is fed up.
We shouldn't sleep with our friends' wives.
But with Gail, I don't know.
Yeah, Gail. That's not going to end well.
Tune in to find out what happens to Lousy Carter.
Any questions?
Hi, welcome to In the Room. I'm Heather Kafka, and I'm an actor.
I'm John Williams. I'm a casting director.
Today we're here with Bob Byington. I'm going to read some interweb stuff that John's pulled up that's
It's
never
typically
accurate.
not accurate, but we'll try.
So you can tell me if it's true or not. Okay, Bob?
I feel like this is the afterlife or something.
This is going to go great. Bob Byington made waves. Ooh, oh, I love it already. Made waves in 2008 with his South by Southwest Midnight Sensation, RSO, registered sex offender. Following this breakthrough, he showcased his talent with Harmony and Me at Lincoln Center's New Directors, New Films series.
Nude directors.
Okay.
Nude directors.
Nude.
Bujalski calls it nude directors.
You were showcasing. Byington's 2012 film Somebody Up There Likes Me earned him the coveted special jury prize at the Locarno Film Festival.
Yes.
While Seven Chinese Brothers in 2015 further solidified his status as a filmmaker to watch. In 2017, Byington's collaboration with Kieran Culkin on Infinity Baby. Still good?
Yeah, I worked with Kieran. He's a genius.
Yeah.
Garnered acclaim, including the Best Feature Award at Woodstock Film Festival. As an Annenberg Fellow, Byington's impact on independent cinema is undeniable, with his work earning a permanent place in MoMA's collection. His latest projects, including Francis Ferguson and Lousy Carter, continue to showcase his unique storytelling and uncompromising vision. Lousy Carter is a 2023 comedy film about a middle-aged college literature professor, played by David Krumholtz.
Why is that funny?
It's not yet. Who learns he has 6 months to live due to a terminal illness. The film is about Carter, who was once a celebrated animator, but has since settled into a life of mediocrity with a cantankerous personality. He has little interest in his students, his family, and his past and present lovers. Carter struggles to complete his animated Nabokov adaptation, teaches a graduate seminar on The Great Gatsby, and sleeps with his best friend's wife.
He does. Spoiler alert.
I just love fucking funerals.
I actually disagree. I think he does have interest in his students.
The ones who he might be able to sleep with?
No, I don't know. I think he does. He seems like he cares.
It's pretty impressive. You have done quite a bit. You have a hard time taking compliments.
No, I
think he seems like he enjoys it.
I appreciate it. You know, like you tend to treat the films like you like them, but you kind of wish they were a little bit better. That's all. So when he brings up somebody up that likes me, I'm like, yeah, okay.
You feel that way about all your films?
Yeah, of course. I mean, actors look at their work and they're like, oh, I should have done that. I should have done that, right?
Oh,
I mean, I know
absolutely.
they do.
All the time.
David does that. I mean, Krumholtz is a very solid actor, but he will watch himself and he'll be like, nope, maybe, okay. You know, he's watching it.
I have a question about his performance with the skin tag, and then when she makes the comment about his face and he starts laughing, was that an outtake or was
it
that?
Was.
Yeah, it's so great.
So great.
Yeah. And this is a collaboration. It's. I'd like to start like how you started and how you've built this sort of really amazing collective of actors that work with you. Like, you picked people before they were known, and you obviously have a tremendous eye. And how did that all come together?
Well, it's case by case, but Nick was, I mean, I met Nick Offerman many years ago, like 2000.
He's in Somebody Up There Likes Me, right?
Well, he's in a bunch of them.
He's in a bunch of them, yeah.
Yeah. And he...
But that's the start, was that one with
him? You met him here?
No, I met him in LA, but he was in the two films previous. He's in RSO, he's in Harmony, he's in Somebody Up There Likes Me, he's in Infinity Baby, and he narrated Francis Ferguson. So I'd really like to work with him again. He's gotten too big, and it's probably not going to happen. But and we gave him Lousy Carter. He was going to play the friend in Lousy Carter that Martin Starr played, but he said to me, I could play this in my sleep, and there's something about that actors want to challenge.
Mm-hmm.
So he wanted to play the lead part. And so we said, okay, but then it ended up falling apart, which you're not really supposed to say.
You can say, it doesn't matter. And then the professor or the psychiatrist, Stephen Root, did he bring all that to it?
I discovered Stephen Root, yeah.
No. Did he bring that idea for the sort of that character, or was it on the page? Because it seems like he always seems to bring stuff that entertains him, maybe more so than what you intended.
Well, that's based on in the Nabokov's Lolita that Stanley Kubrick made. Peter Sellers plays a guy who comes to the house and in a very thick accent grills James Mason about Lolita. And I just wanted Stephen to try that. And I went down to the hotel. I'm like, you want to try it? And he's like, sure. But yeah, it's a little weird, but
I love it. It just seemed like he was working his muscles out.
Yeah.
Know?
He can do anything.
That's what I'm saying. So that's what I'm like. I feel like some of these guys are like, I don't want to show up to do, and I see it all the time in casting, right? Like we keep trying to hire the same guy to do the same thing. It has to get boring after a while.
Yeah.
Well, the part probably should have been like rewritten a little bit on behalf of the idea of him playing this guy, and we didn't really do that. So there's a couple of things he says that sound like American vernacular, but he's saying it with like this thick, you know, what type of accent, I'm not sure.
Right. Right.
I'm going to go with German, but
yeah,
Russian,
kind of German,
sort of.
German Russian.
Yeah.
But
he comes from a mixed family.
Yugoslav.
He's a great guy, and he's very intimidating, but he's also like, he's very malleable, and he's like, he wants it to be good, and he doesn't think he knows better. He doesn't bring that attitude at all. So he's great.
Did you know him before this, or?
I met him again many years ago. We were trying to put Seven Chinese Brothers together in 2004, and Kevin Corrigan introduced me to Stephen, and just kept in touch, and then brought him back for Seven Chinese Brothers, and then Infinity Baby, and then this. Tried to get him to play the judge in Francis Ferguson, but we made that movie for like nothing. Like
So
nothing.
speaking of that, I mean, I know that you live in the ballpark that I've floated around in a lot too. So how are you getting such great talent?
I think it's, if you can get one of them, they tend to, and you guys know this, like with Infinity Baby, we got Megan because Nick really wanted me to hire Megan to play this part, and I really wanted her. So we went to Boston where Nick was doing Confederacy of Dunces, and I met Megan. I'm like, I want you to play this part. She's like, okay. And like once we had her, then like when you're trying to get Kieran, you're like, you know, his manager is like, who else is in it? Megan Mullally. Oh, Kieran wants to work with Megan Mullally. Okay. So then once you get one of them, they all start kind of clambering aboard, in my experience.
Mm-hmm.
They feel very reassured by the idea that someone good is in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Right. That you've convinced at least one person to join you on this crazy journey.
And Kieran has a real theater background, and Megan was sort of in that musical theater world in New York for a while, so we got lucky. And I had seen Kieran in a play called This Is Our Youth, and he was just phenomenal. He wasn't really working a lot. I found out later he was turning down a lot of work. And he just wanted to play this guy. He said he hated the guy. He hated the guy on the page, and he's like, I want to play this guy. I hate him.
Yeah.
And I liked the guy that he played, so it made for an interesting tension. But he's eerily talented. I mean,
how do you seem to not ever work with the same producers?
well, we have some producer carryover, and then some of the producers move on to bigger projects. Like they have to do like real money projects, and I tend to do lower budget projects. We had a great producer on Somebody Up There Likes Me who was on board for Seven Chinese Brothers and then left to take the Jeff Nichols movie, the Midnight movie, for example. So that happens. And but I've worked with Chris McKenna on a couple jobs, and I think he's on board for the new one. So
Oh, right.
Yeah.
I didn't know you had worked with him before.
McKenna?
Yeah.
Yeah. He executive produced RSO, and I've just kept in contact.
Oh, right.
He's always helped me.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
And so you still get to live and work in Austin?
Get to?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's getting hot now. Like today's kind of like we're getting a whiff of summer today. And so there are two Austins, right? There's there's hot Austin, and then there's the rest of the time. And I don't know that hot Austin is that great a place to live.
No. Do you stay here for hot Austin?
Well, I mean, I try to get away a little bit here and there, but.
So with the stuff that you're doing in the budget range that you're staying in, are you purposely staying in that world? Are you trying to? Because like what we're finding is this is actually the sweet spot where you get to remain in control. I mean, it's definitely it's very difficult to get the financing and to put these things together. And it takes which you've done time and time again, which is, I would like to talk about how you see your ability to do that. And then also, are you ambitiously trying to go bigger? Or do you are you purposely staying in this range?
Well, like you say, like if you try to get more money, you can lose a little bit of control. And we had a little bit more money on Seven Chinese Brothers, and there were more producers and more exec producers type people working. And I thought that I could handle that, and I don't think it went that well in retrospect. I didn't really know how to like spend. We had more money, and I was still making the same like zero budget movie. And that was a mistake, like one of the producers like, well, we can get this DP, we can get this camera packet, we can do this, this, and this. And I was like, no, let's, and I made a mistake. I wanted a lower budget DP. I wanted a lower budget camera, and screwed up, for example.
How do you figure that as a screw up?
The movie would have benefited from a better look, and we used this little Canon camera that I liked, but that it's just weird because we made a lower budget movie after that in Infinity Baby, and we used this great Alexa that we should have been using on Seven Chinese Brothers, and I just thought it was too expensive. So
now you see where that money goes to better use to better serve the film.
yeah, and we could have got a pretty shiny DP on Seven Chinese Brothers, and I just was resistant for some reason. I just had this idea of being lower to the ground, and you know, it's fine. I regret it, but who cares? I mean, it's both, right?
Yeah. And so now moving into Lousy Carter, where did that fit into that
budget wise?
Yeah, into that equation. As far as getting better cameras, I mean, because it looked great and it felt great.
Yeah, Carmen's great, and I've worked with her. This is the fourth movie we worked together, and she's fantastic. And we knew we wanted this little Alexa Mini, and it was great. And I love the look of the movie. But we have a new movie with some of the same people, and I've been thinking about the look of that.
Well, I got some cameras and some lenses you can
really
use. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You're like trying to keep it on a budget.
Yeah. No, these are expensive.
Yeah, but you're not going to charge him for it, are you?
I have to.
What kind of cameras do you have, man?
Alexa, I'll send them to you. A bunch of Alexas and Blackwings and a bunch of different Cooks and stuff.
Why do you have all these things?
Because we rent them. Because people like you rent them.
Nice.
Because John's a hustler, baby. He's always got a side hustle.
Well, we might be working with the Team Duplass, and they have these Sony cameras that Jay was telling me about. And he's like, yeah, we should use these cameras. And so we might do that. But they're not, I don't know. They're definitely like low budget cameras. And I'd almost rather use an Alexa at this point.
So is it getting easier to put stuff together, or is it getting harder? Or staying the same?
Staying the same.
Yeah. And are you asking for more, or are you trying to stay in the same range?
That's a good question. The new script, which I didn't write, is a more ambitious script, and it's got more locations. It's at night, and it's going to require more money. But I don't know. I mean, I could talk in more detail about what I think the money buys you, but you're going to work with Screen Actors Guild so that you can work with good actors. And I found that the actors, like David doesn't even know what he made on Lousy Carter. I know what he made. He doesn't. But he made more than he thinks he made. I mean, I heard him interviewed, and he said he made $100 a day. He didn't. We paid him more than that. And it's just funny to me that he thinks he made like bottom of the barrel SAG agreement. So I don't know. Like, I think I can usually tell if an actor wants to be in the movie. And I've dealt with some actors who I kind of wanted to be in the movie who were like, meh. And that doesn't usually work out. So you can usually kind of sniff that out. And
what are your telltale signs that they
talk to my agent stuff?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, so like for Lousy Carter, though, when it says that like Lee Eddy did the casting,
yeah,
like
she helped us a ton.
How far-reaching was that? I mean, obviously with Macon and the people that you guys know.
She got us Randy, for example, up in Dallas, and he's fantastic. And she was just helping us fill out the world of the movie with, you know, people in Austin. She brought us a lot of people in to talk to, and it just made a lot of sense to give her that credit.
The principal, who is that?
The principal.
Oh my God.
He was amazing.
Oh my God. He was so fantastic.
The boss.
That voice.
The voice.
In Lousy Carter.
Yeah.
Yes.
The
one who brings
him
that runs
into
his office.
Yeah, brings him into the office.
That's Randy.
That's Randy. That's what I thought.
Randy.
I was trying to look for him. He looked like he didn't have. I was on IMDb looking for him.
Didn't have a picture.
Yeah.
He's in Macon's new movie too.
Wow.
From is he just started or from this or?
No, Macon had met him, and that's how Lee brought him to us.
He's been around or what? This
Not
Randy
much.
guy.
Yeah.
Not much.
Yeah.
Dude.
He's great.
He came in and got, like, we were thinking about Stephen Root was going to play that part, and he came in and like got the part, like, and we moved Stephen we replaced someone awkwardly as the analyst. So that stuff happens too. And
So
it's a nightmare.
what do you mean the analyst?
Stephen Root's part as the therapist analyst.
Oh, right.
We had someone else lined up for that part, and we replaced her with Stephen Root.
So you had auditions?
Sort of. I mean, I don't like calling that, but the people come in and you talk to them and meet them. It doesn't feel like an audition to me.
Right. And you did that with him?
Yeah, I mean, he came in and met us and talked to us, and we read over the scene, but it was clear right away that we wanted him to be in the movie. And then he
like
was
the minute he opened his mouth?
he was super prepared, and you know, that's the other thing. It's like, if an actor comes in and like is prepared, you know it. Like, you can tell. And it's hard because, like, I've heard that I used to live with an actress, and she would book a lot of jobs. And she said that she felt like whenever it felt like she really wanted it, she wouldn't get it. And so she was practicing the art of being prepared, but also not seeming to be able to take it or leave it. And that was like definitely a tightrope that she walked. And but she got hired a lot. And I think that's what I'm looking for is super prepared, can take it or leave it.
Yeah, you want a sense of confidence. I mean, desperation, you can see it a mile away. And I always tell people, the guy that comes in, they're like, do I have to learn all the scenes? I'm like, you don't have to, but the guy that does will probably get it, you know? And then also too, it is that sense, that confidence that you just kind of can pick up subconsciously on people when they come in, that you're just like, that you feel like, okay, I feel like I can be around this guy all day, and he's not gonna be needy. I'm not gonna have to, you know,
Yes.
desperate to be answering all these questions. Like they're comfortable doing their job. They can handle their position. I try to tell actors all the time, I'm like, look, you're just as important as the camera and the light and everything else. And that goes out, we got to stop. Like, we want to trust that you're going to do your job, you know? I mean, we want to trust that everybody's going to do their job. And I think a lot of actors tend to not understand necessarily, and I think this has a lot to do with class too, because class just puts so much emphasis on the actor and how'd that go and how'd it feel. But you have so many things you're worried about on the day. You don't have that time. So they have to convey that confidence that, like, they're going to show up and do their job, and you don't have to babysit.
Yeah. If I were talking to an actor like who was like, hey, you know, what should I do in this audition? I mean, we've had some actors come in who were sort of improvising because they thought that was going to help them get the gig. And that's a big no-no. Don't do that. Unless you're like Benicio del Toro or something. Do not do anything other than what you've been given. You know, if you're asked to improvise.
That's the thing. It's like some don't, they love it, you know? So it's really hard. It's like, do you feel comfortable if they asked you that question? If they said, hey, you want me to stick to the script or improvise?
It better be way better than what's in the script. And there's no way that's going to happen.
Right.
Unless you're Benicio del Toro.
Who never improvises.
I'm never going to.
Do you say that because they're your words, or do you say that just because?
No,
just because there's that.
Yeah,
that
I'm
person
a huge asshole.
What's that?
Because that's just your asshole judgment of acting.
No, it's that I would say that, like, we have this new script that I didn't write, and we did a read on Zoom with some really good actors, and they're kind of making some stuff up. I'm just like, don't do that. Don't do that. Don't. What are you doing? And these are people who are definitely more successful than I am, so it's hard to tell them that, but it was funny.
You just don't think acting works without the framework of a written script.
I do tend to think that. And there is improv in Lousy Carter that's better than what we had in the script, for sure. And then there's improv that's definitely not in the movie because it's nowhere near as good as what we had in the script. So David did some astonishingly awful improv, and he would be like, that's amazing. He would finish and be like, that's great. I'm like, what are you talking about?
And did you keep any of that?
We kept the good improv. When he's hitting on the girl in the class, he's like, I want to do this book. And then he's like telling her, I'm not attracted to you. Like he did all that. That was improv. And he was brilliant improv.
Yeah.
Well, how is he going to get to that unless he jumps off an improvs? You're not
True.
You wouldn't have it.
True. We had an interesting relationship.
So your method is to get it as written, and then you allow them, like, okay, if you want to do something extra, go ahead.
Yeah.
What I find a lot of times is, even with the people that we play around a ton, when I see the final version, the final cut, I'm like, it's very close to the script. It tends to go back to the script.
Well, there also tends to be a rhythm to the script that can get disrupted sort of in a way that maybe the actor isn't quite aware of. Like there's a kind of through line for the rhythm. And
So where did you find Luxy?
Luxy had come in to be in the class, and she was going to be, I guess, relatively insignificant in the movie, but she was so good. And she started working with, like, we would bring Randy in and Luxy would partner with him for like the scenes. She would play Lousy Carter in the scene, and she was great. And Shelby the same way. Shelby was great. The woman who plays receptionist. She was also partnering with people. And it was clear to me as I started to get to know Luxy that she could play this part. And we had someone else lined up, and that went away for the reason that I talked about, which is talk to my agent. And then I was like, oh, I'm actually not really going to talk to your agent.
Why not?
Well, because I'm not going to pursue you for the role.
Right.
Because I've got someone else.
Right.
So it's not the easiest thing in the world to deal with. It's one of the harder things about the job.
Dealing with the agent.
No, like discussing a role with someone, liking them for the role, and then watching that kind of go away. It doesn't happen that often.
Mm.
And it's challenging.
It's super challenging. I mean, it's what I deal with every day, is trying to get people that are wanted for something and then never hearing back or sending off, and just wasting months.
Well, Jack was really funny on that topic because he said he was being kind of, stiff about the schedule for that, which ended up working out for him. But he said that at the time, he's like, no, I can't go there for this period of time. And David stepped in and said, no, you're coming.
You're talking about Jack Marshall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And David actually steps in and says, no, you're coming. But sometimes if an actor is doing that, you're like, all right, go fuck yourself and we'll get someone else.
I mean, my position is to make it work because the director, you say, hey, I want this person. So I'm doing everything in my power to deliver that person to you. And so it was working with Jack to try to get him what he needed, but ultimately what we needed.
Jack was just funny because he said that if he'd known that it was going to work out the way it did, he wouldn't have been as difficult as he was. Yeah. And he said being difficult worked out in his favor. He got paid more.
Yeah.
Than he would have.
Right.
Anyway,
But to lose that opportunity, which he didn't really kind of understand what that opportunity was, and where he probably made the most money was on his residual checks.
Yeah.
Where he made significant amount of cash.
I still want 10% of that.
You should talk to Jack. He was good. He was great. Jack Marshall, he's great. And he was great in Lousy Carter.
I love him. And that part, that's funny because we had a bunch of people come in and read for that part. And I was trying to get Jack to come in and he's like, yeah, I'm working. Fuck off. And
he's being difficult.
Yeah, he was being difficult. And then I was like, do we have to rewrite this part? I mean, we saw like half a dozen people. And then he came in and it was just like, it was over. Once he after he was done with like one sentence, it was over.
Yeah.
So he's a very talented actor. He doesn't pursue acting, but
yeah, he's great. And that's probably also that other part of too, of like, he comes in with confidence and he's not desperate, and he has other,
not desperate.
Yeah.
No.
Has something else going on. So it almost makes him a little bit more attractive, I think.
He's the detective in Francis Ferguson, and he's very funny in that movie too.
Yeah.
So what about Trieste? Did you know
Love
you wanted
Trieste.
her for the
God.
sister?
Yes.
You just knew that right away.
Yeah. And Trieste is like, I don't want to do it. It's too small a part. And I had to beg her. I was basically like, you're doing it. I was like David to Jack. I had met Trieste in New York, and wanted her to be an Infinity Baby, loved her to death. And she was great in Infinity Baby, super prepared. She had an 11-page scene that she knew backwards and forwards, which I love. And yeah, and then her boyfriend / husband, I don't know what he is, Houston King. He's an indie producer, so I sort of know him. And
Houston did The Orchard and did some other stuff.
Yeah, but she's that scene of her outside the car where she's talking to David is my favorite scene in the movie. And the last scene that I wrote.
It is pretty great, that scene.
But Trieste is another actor who shows up just super prepared, super pro. It's like you're saying, like a light, you know?
Yep.
And you don't have to think about it. So you can think about the other things that you need to think about. You're not going to be thinking about her.
Mm-hmm.
She's going to deliver.
Yeah. And that makes a day go so much better.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it was cold when we shot her scene, which initially I was like, are we making a mistake? Should we be shooting this when it's warmer? Because it was like, it was cold for us. And it was like 40 degrees. And, but then the cold ended up working for the scene because she's like genuinely kind of like cold in the scene, and it ended up being perfect.
Mm-hmm.
So that was nice. That happens sometimes.
I often feel it's funny because like when you're shooting, it's like, it seems like the most important thing should be the acting, but a lot of times it's not.
It is for me.
Yeah. It seems like so much attention with like the line producers and the producers goes to all these other, and then it's like, okay, hurry up, do your thing. And it's like, well, this is the thing.
Yeah, no, that's how actors are the kings on the Bob Byington set for sure. You know, and the movies could definitely always look a little better than they do. Carmen has like lots of remarks about how we don't spend time lighting and things like that. I have her on tape saying like, if you light the film, it will look better. Stuff like that. But she's a pro. Like she knows that she's right on board with the acting being the main thing.
So why doesn't Bob Byington do theater?
Oh, I don't know. It's a good question. It's a good question. Even less lucrative than filmmaking somehow?
More difficult to get financed?
I don't know. That just doesn't seem to be an issue.
It's hard to get people to go to theater, isn't it, in Austin?
Oh, I'd imagine.
Or impossible?
In general.
No, there's a pretty healthy theater scene here.
Is there?
Yeah. The Zach's done a great job, and there's pretty healthy. I mean, there's a lot of support for the smaller black box theaters here.
Do you guys do that stuff too, or?
I've did it for years. Yeah, for years. I did it in LA for years, and then here I've helped support a bit where I can, when I can.
I do not. I should, but I do not.
And you asked me because you feel guilty?
No, I asked you because you said acting is king.
Yeah.
For
I'd love
Bob
to do a play.
Byington, and that, you know, if you weren't considering lighting in a film, then it doesn't sound like you're much into the visual medium.
I guess lighting's really important in theater, though, too.
It is.
Well, true, but it sounds like acting is where you're drawn when it comes to.
Well, maybe not acting, but we want to get the performances right, and we want to make sure that the actors, like, if the actors are hot or, you know, ready to go, ready to fuck Jack, we want them to be able to work, you know? Is this a family podcast?
No, you're good. You're good.
Ready to Fuck Jack is, of course, from Boogie Nights, as you may know.
Yeah.
A movie I'm not a huge fan of.
No?
I don't really like that movie.
Really?
I don't think it's very good. Everyone looks really weird to me in the movie.
Everyone does look really weird in the movie.
Yeah, like,
I agree.
Like, I would just like give the whole movie the once over, just like get their looks right. I don't think they got anyone's look right. I really think that. And I love Paul Thomas Anderson. I love Phantom Thread. They got everyone's look right in Phantom Thread.
I kind of agree with you about that. I forgot what I was going to ask.
So it says based on a true story, Lousy Carter. Is that?
Yeah. There's it's based on things that happened to me and family people. Yeah. I was a terrible professor, for example.
That's what I was going to ask. You were a professor?
Yeah.
I feel like you're very much, when we were talking about acting and caring about acting, you're very much a writer, though, too.
Mm-hmm.
Do you ever write books?
No, it was hard enough to get this script out. See, because of the nicotine, the nicotine dragged it out of me.
But I mean,
That's really what
especially
happened.
this, I feel like especially this script is very much like a novel.
Really? Thank you.
Mm-hmm. You're welcome.
I'm a very lazy person. I don't like writing, and it's very hard for me to do.
You find that you're lazy?
Yes. Yeah.
Maybe
it's called being a lazy obsessive. So I'm lazy, but if I can get locked into the idea of trying to make something, then I'll go toward that. Less and less, less and less. But like a movie like Registered Sex Offender, I was obsessed with Registered Sex Offender. We shot that movie for 18 months.
Oh my God.
Yeah. We shot one scene 4 times that is not in the movie.
Oh my God. What?
Due to your obsession.
I was just crazy obsessed with getting that movie made. And it was really fun. It's really fun. Then the main guy, I loved him, and he was not really, he was like becoming an actor. I don't know if you know him, Gabriel Jane McIver. He was Gabriel and now he's Jane. He which is the perfect thing to happen when you make a movie called Registered Sex Offender, to have someone transition after the movie. And we should really make a sequel to Registered Sex Offender.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
It would have been a much better epilogue than the epilogue we shot.
So with Lousy Carter, did you end up having to kind of put pressure on yourself and force yourself to get obsessed so that you can get it out of you?
A little bit.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, I think you get older and you lose some of the youthful obsession.
Yes, right?
Yes.
What did you teach?
I taught a film class at Colorado College up in Colorado Springs.
Okay.
When?
I taught in 2011 and 2014.
And you weren't that good at it.
Why?
I think all the kids, they were like stoned, and I thought, since they're stoned, then I don't know.
You could be stoned?
Well, I didn't get stoned for the class, but there's a whole like Colorado lifestyle thing that I was just like.
Well, Colorado Springs too, which is a weird place. It's very unique.
Yeah, and that's a good school, and I know that it's a very expensive school, and I was lucky to be there. And at the same time, it just felt a little bit like, it's like Lousy Carter's mom says something I would say, which is like, I didn't really feel like I could help. There were kids there, I didn't really feel like I could help them. And then it felt like the kids I could help were going to be fine anyway. And I know that good teachers don't do that, but that's kind of what I did. Although we did have a kid who was just like terrible in class, and just awful kid. And but then his project was amazing. It was an amazing project.
That's so weird. I've heard that kind of thing.
He was like
before.
an audio savant, and but like a frat boy kind of guy. I didn't like him. He just seemed really unserious. But then his project was like, Jesus, it was so good. Way better than everyone else's.
You sure he did it?
Great question. But yeah, kind of. I'm not sure he did, but I think he did it. But I never thought about that before. But I went to a college that didn't have grades, so the idea of giving them grades also seemed weird to me. And I was just like, what grade do you think you should have? And I mostly gave the kids the grades they thought they should have, except I think like one kid who was like, I'm not giving you an A. And he was really upset.
And so when did the Lousy Carter idea come into play?
I was in Milwaukee for the pandemic, and it's kind of it's a letter to the pandemic. I think that terminal diagnosis at the beginning is the idea of the pandemic. We all were like, did we all just get a terminal diagnosis?
Yeah.
So,
and then I don't want to give it away, but then I guess the what actually happens is kind of similar to the pandemic. And us not all having a terminal.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Spoiler alert.
And Andrew Budiowski, he did a great job.
Oh, Budiowski was awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Easy to convince to get in front of the camera.
That might be my favorite
a lot of people
Budiowski
like
performance.
Him. Yeah. I told him to read. He was doing something I didn't like, and I said, "Read your lines like a bored actor trying to prove to the director that you know your lines." And then he did that, and it was perfect. And it's like one of the very few directing things that I've ever said that worked. I was really happy.
You were like,
I was happy. Yeah. Yeah.
No, the fact that the directing thing that worked, it seems like a lot of it works really well.
Well, you can't usually move people that much off of what they're going to do, I found. Like Martin Starr, you're not going to move him much.
I love Michael, how do you say his last name? Jakovich or whatever. Michael, the other guy that called and said it's my first day?
Right.
I can never say his last name, but I know Michael well. He's he
did a great job.
Great improver. That scene was fantastic.
Yeah.
I mean, I think there's so much good in this. It was really, really good. Yeah.
Well,
I feel that you might not be happy with it, but I think you did a phenomenal job.
I like it. A lot of people are talking about how miserable Lousy Carter is. And I was like, really? Is he that? We didn't deliberately set out to make him a miserable person. I think it shed more light on me being unhappier than I thought I was making this character. And I'm like, it was kind of like a wake up call. Like if my baseline for him is such that he doesn't seem that strange to me, then maybe I need to look at, some, things. And it's helped me in that regard. Like you said, he's kind of an apathetic professor. He's a little bit sloppy in relationships. He's doesn't really get along with his mom. He's got all these boxes that you're supposed to be checking a little bit better than he is, right?
I actually found him to be the least miserable character in the movie.
Oh, good.
I have to saw him as optimistic.
Yeah,
actually.
I actually found him to be the one who was like looking for everybody to cheer up.
I read user reviews on Letterboxd. It's my guilty pleasure. It's like my unhealthy obsession. And a lot of user reviews talk about him being miserable.
Really?
Yeah. Trust me, it's there.
I think they're missing the point.
Well, there's a lot of them.
I mean, maybe they don't know your films either, and the tone that you
could be.
Yeah.
I think if you watch the trailer and then you watch the movie and you think the movie's going to be something different from what you just saw in the trailer is going to tell you, like this is what's going to be going on. And most people watch the trailer before they watch the movie, right?
Yep.
So,
but I feel like he's going around from scene to scene in his life and moment to moment with the people and friends looking for connection or validation or, some sunshine and happiness, and everyone around him is like, "Meh."
Shutting him down.
Yeah. And he's like, what the fuck's wrong with everybody? Like, come on, guys. I feel like he's the one who's like trying and everybody else is
living a miserable existence.
Yeah.
Well, his best friend is not very sympathetic or empathetic.
Yeah.
His ex is not very sympathetic.
The
sister's not
the young girl in class is not very,
No, they're not having it.
She's kind of bitter.
But that was all
receptionist.
The receptionist.
Andrew's the cremator.
Yeah.
But none of that was deliberate. I wasn't like, I'm going to make a movie where everyone's like that. It just came out of me that way.
Yeah.
So.
It's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you watched it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Where'd you see it?
Amazon.
Don't forget to rate it on Amazon. It helps.
Will do.
I
Speaking of distribution, I know that's been a fight. Was this hard to get out? Was this hard to get sold?
Well, we worked with UTA as a sales agent. They're good. We worked with a great guy there who helped us a lot. And I liked him a lot, Billy Offer. If you're watching, Billy, or listening, I don't know what. He's not. And
I promise you.
No, we have like 5 listeners.
Yeah. And they had a screening for the film that Magnolia went to the screening, and then Magnolia saw the film at Locarno. And so the guy who buys films for them saw it, and the second time he saw it, he's like, I'm going to buy it. And they're a good company. I mean, they've been in business for a long time, and they've got a good reputation, and so it's been good. It's challenging working with them, but also it's good. That could be for another podcast.
What do you think about the state of the movie business?
I saw where Jerry Seinfeld said the movie business is over. I'm like,
I saw that
why is he like weighing in?
Yeah, I know, right?
I guess he made a movie, so he's got to weigh in.
Yeah.
Fuck that guy.
Yeah. That's how I felt.
Yeah.
It's like,
You just stick to comedy, Jerry.
thanks.
Or TV.
Thanks for helping to bury the rest of us.
Well, Curb, of course, Curb is an influence on me. And then, I watched Curb, and then I had never seen Seinfeld. So I watched Curb in the early 2000s and then doubled back to all the Seinfelds that Larry David, I noticed I would gravitate toward the Seinfelds that Larry David wrote. And those really hold up. There are other ones that hold up, but the ones that he wrote, particularly, like, they hold up.
Mm-hmm.
So hats off to those guys.
Right.
Yeah, and I have nothing but respect for Jerry Seinfeld, but don't talk about the movie business, please.
Yeah.
And we're trying to make movies for mid six-figure budgets, right? And I don't think he's trying to make movies for mid six-figure budgets. I don't know what he spends mid six figures on.
I don't know.
He buys cars.
Yeah, he buys cars.
Yeah.
And he's got what? 30, 40, 50, 60 cars?
Probably.
It's probably more than that.
He's got a building in New York full of cars.
Does he?
Yeah.
That's reasonable.
You were going to say disgusting? It is disgusting.
Then, yeah.
Homeless people walking by the building filled with cars.
Yeah.
That's nice.
Did you always want to be a filmmaker?
Are we getting to that part of the... I wanted to be a filmmaker in college. I saw some films in college and I was like, oh, someone is making these films. Chinatown. Saw Chinatown College and I was like, oh, someone's making this movie. I had never thought about that before. And I'm sorry that the filmmaker didn't turn out to be such a great guy, but it's a great movie.
Mm.
That was a big movie for me. And The Graduate was a big movie for me. Same thing. Someone's making this.
Yeah.
But you hear some filmmakers say, like, the moment where they're like, oh, someone's making this is like the moment where like, oh, I want to try. But then you try and you're not anywhere near as good at it.
You realize how hard it is.
Yeah. And you realize these people are talented.
Mm.
And even those guys make bad films.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's a hard thing to do.
How did you first try?
Well, I don't even talk about that, It's like that's a whole lost chapter that I won't discuss. I guess Kubrick denied that his first film existed. Not comparing myself to him, but he would just not acknowledge its existence, like, and try to buy the prints and everything. It was like that.
No.
Jim Jarmusch made a terrible movie before he made Stranger Than Paradise.
Well, you have to.
Linklater's movie. I love Linklater's first movie, but everyone thinks Slacker's his first movie. It's not.
No, it can't be. You got to pick up
a spill paint. You gotta make a mess.
Pick up a camcorder and make some cheesy shit with your friends.
His first movie is really good, though. Have you seen Linklater's first movie?
What's it called?
It's called "You Can't Learn to Plow by Reading Books."
I bet Darren's seen it.
It's good. It's on the Slacker criterion, and Rick is in a lot of it. And a lot of times he shot it, so he'll like turn the camera on, walk into frame, do the scene, and walk out. And but it's really good. You can tell this guy's got something.
You were on 2011 Slacker?
I was.
How was that experience?
Well, we did a camera test for somebody up there who likes me, and that was our camera test, and we used Kevin Corrigan and Nick Offerman. So I've never seen it. I've never seen their scene.
You haven't?
Is it good?
I haven't seen it.
I don't remember. I've only seen it once.
Yeah, I resented that because I didn't want to be like, I didn't want to be like, oh, let's pay homage to Slacker. I didn't want to do that, but I was willing to test the camera.
And they hoodwinked you.
They paid to test the camera. And we worked with Sean Price Williams, who's a filmmaker in his own right, who made Sweet East, and he shot that movie, and I'm hoping to work with him again too. But Carmen might have something to say about that.
How far off are you on the next one?
Well, speaking of the Austin summer, we can't shoot it when it's hot because the crew won't work. I tried that before. They'll work like for 2.5 hours a day. And Jay Duplass is going to be in it. He's the lead, and he doesn't want to make it until November. So we're talking about maybe October.
That's a good month.
Yeah, and we just cast the female lead for that too.
It's exciting.
Yeah.
And then the script's done.
Yeah.
Okay. And is this your first time? You're not writer on everything, right?
I didn't write Infinity Baby.
Okay. How do you prefer working with your material or with others? It doesn't matter.
It's freeing to work with someone else's script because you can be like, this is a great script. And you can't really do that with your script. You sound douchey when you do that.
Yeah.
But you can be a real like cheerleader for the
I just
script.
love the writing.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
true.
Yeah. People are like, don't say that. But being a cheerleader for the script is a fun thing to be. And so I love this new script, and I get to be, I don't have to guard what I say about it.
Yeah.
It's nice.
Where'd you get it?
I asked Jay if he had anything on a shelf, and he said, well, I just read this script. I was going to direct it, but why don't you direct it?
That's
nice.
fun.
Yeah. That's nice.
Yes. Yeah. Well, Jay and I have been trying to work together for about 10 years, so maybe it'll finally happen.
Sounds like it.
But he's also a guy who he's had a lot of like bigger budget type success, but he really genuinely likes low budget filmmaking, and just made something himself for nothing.
Yeah. I mean, what we keep hearing over and over on this is just that, and for me too, it's the spot. You know, like I was just doing a movie with David Gordon Green in Cincinnati, and we were back in that sort of range that we didn't have to answer to everybody, and it was so much more fun.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like the ambitious, the ladder to climb, you get up there and you realize, oh, this isn't, there's no room to be creative here, you know? Like, whenever we're at this high pressure, high budget, it just becomes very difficult to, it's like they say, are you smiling? Are you having fun? Stop that.
Yeah.
And you're spending money on things it's not that thrilling to be spending more money for lawyers and insurance and those kinds of things that you don't really have to do on smaller jobs.
Yeah.
And you can usually get, like, we had most of the legal fees donated on Lousy Carter, which has a lot to do with the character of the person donating, but also, he wouldn't be doing that if it was a big budget project. And you can't really put actors up at, like, I don't know, like, we used Airbnbs and hotels and it worked out, but the actors played ball with the accommodations in a way that I don't think they would have on a bigger budget movie.
No, they'd be like Jack Marshall, very difficult.
Poor Jack.
He can take it.
He can take it. Yeah, he can take it. He can take it.
No, on a bigger budget, you're not going to stand for.
You shouldn't, but I mean,
because you know what they're spending.
No, I know, but it doesn't work that way. They still don't have any money.
They still don't have any money.
They still don't have any money. It's still a struggle. It's still, they have to work local. Or I mean, you've
that's
felt
true.
it.
I've seen it.
Yeah, you've felt it.
Felt it.
We can't afford. We can't get them a car. We can't do that.
Yeah.
It's like it's just, and I think that's more so the person that you have that's controlling the strings, just trying to do their job to the best of their ability.
We had a great line producer on Lousy Carter, and I think he did a great job. Chris Shea. He did a great job.
Chris Shea's awesome.
Of shielding me from some of that stuff. Like, I was like, they're working local, and it was like Jocelyn DeBoer, for example, who is a great actor in LA, and I was like, she's working local. And I don't think that's how it quite worked out exactly. But I didn't really want to know about it either. It's just like, and he just made it all work.
Yeah. We call it modified local.
Modified local, yeah.
Yep.
I like that.
Yeah.
Some people were getting per diem, and other people weren't.
That's really hard too when the deals are different and everyone starts to talk. That can cause a lot of problems.
Mm-hmm.
We had an actor on Seven Chinese Brothers who we paid her under the table to be in the movie, and that was weird.
We should maybe cut that out.
Nobody cares.
Nobody's watching or cares.
Schwartzman would care because he was really great. And
how was Schwartzman? Yeah, he's awesome.
Schwartzman's the one they paid under the table.
No, he was fantastic. His dog was expensive, but worth it.
What? What do you mean?
We had to get his dog from LA to Austin.
Right.
And I think we paid for the nanny to drive with the dog to Austin.
Okay.
Right. But the dog is the best thing in the movie, so it was worth it. He's a genius. I was convinced the dog knew exactly what we were doing. Like, exactly.
Probably did.
Jason said that when they would drive, Arrow, his dog, would face the camera, and that Jason said when they drove together, regularly, the dog would just lie down and face Jason. But when we were shooting, the dog would face the camera.
Dog went to Juilliard.
Yep.
Where can we see Lousy Carter?
Well, it's on all the streaming platforms, and then it'll be on Hulu when I guess people like to watch free movies, right?
Mm-hmm. That's one of the problems.
It'll be free in July on Hulu.
With commercials and a subscription.
Right. Unless you have a Hulu that doesn't have commercials, which some people have, I guess.
I don't think so.
Yeah, it exists.
Really?
What's that?
Oh, a Hulu without commercials?
Yeah, if you have a premium account.
Oh, I thought they all had commercials now, like even my HBO Max.
No, you just got to give them more money.
Oh, okay.
Or have friends with premium accounts that you can use.
Right. Well, I watched Lousy Carter on Amazon Prime with my Prime membership.
Well, it wasn't free.
For $6.99.
Don't forget to rate it.
It wasn't expensive. So you can too.
Yeah.
And rate it. I'll definitely rate it.
The ratings help because Amazon won't let you rate unless you watch. And then I watched it on Amazon and rated it, and they threw it out because they know I directed it.
No.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Bezos is sitting in his office
Seriously?
deleting my review. Yeah, 100%. They threw my review out.
Jeff is what's Bob doing today on Amazon?
What the hell?
Yeah, he's sitting in the compound waiting for my reviews.
Hold the
to come
rocket.
in.
Oh.
What's Bob doing?
I will take a lie detector test. I swear that they saw my review, came in, and deleted it.
Creepy.
Yeah, crazy. They have if they have human eyes on it, or they have an algorithm that can catch that. Maybe they cross it with credits.
They matched the names.
Yeah, you should have said Bobby.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're right. I think they do that.
Yeah.
Which is strange because they have all these bogus reviews of their can openers and stuff.
The can openers.
Right.
Yeah,
I got a shitty can opener from them.
I guess I'll be looking on their site for a job.
Yeah.
Thank you, man.
Yeah,
yes,
it was fun. Good
thank
talking
you
to you guys.
so much. All right, everybody
Are you
out
just
there.
saying that, or was it actually fun?
No, it's edifying, and I enjoyed both of you. Why is that funny?
Your tone, man.
This is about as excited as Bob Byington.
I don't get as excited as I ought to about some things.
He's thrilled inside, really.
Yeah. But again, I'm doing the best I can. Just keep that in mind.
It's really all it's all it's the best he can do. He loves us as much as he can.
I probably could do a little bit better.
Well, I used to be very angry on set, and I'm not as angry as I used to be, but I'm still kind of angry. So if you're meeting me for the first time and you see me on set, you're like, oh, that guy's kind of grouchy. But in my mind, I'm like better than I've ever been. So there's a dissonance.
It's the nicotine lozenges. Yes? Is it helping?
Yeah.
We'll cut to the ad for the nicotine lodges.
Thanks, Bob.
I don't know if they need your help.
Yeah, thanks, nicotine lodges.
Thank you.
Thanks,
awesome.
Bob.
Cool. That's it.
Our show today was recorded in studio by the good folks at Record ATX. Check them out at recordatx.com. Our theme music is produced by Jonathan Price. You can check out some of the sounds he makes with his project, The Mid-Cities, on Spotify. Follow, subscribe, and smash that like button if you see one. Thanks so much for listening, and we'll see you guys next time.